if you're saying that you're working with a couple of other authors in producing similar sorts of books, if you had 3 things that you could tell a person that they would need, what are the 3 things that they would need to get their transmedia writing project off the ground? What are the 3 things you recommend?
A couple things. One is, I think a lot of artists and a lot of writers don't do is they don't understand their audience. A lot of artists talk about, I created this for me, and it was totally what was inside me. I had to do it, and that's great. I spent many years creating things for me, and they didn't sell. And then I started talking to agents and talking to publishers and talking just to people who are in the industry and saying, hey, what does the audience want? So knowing the audience is a big deal, and then knowing what you have to deliver, and then what you get to it's totally your art. You get to add on to that. But in terms of creating a product, I'd say a couple of different things. Like I'm working with an author right now, Michael Albert, he's written an amazing book. It's a modern day homage to Les Miserables. He's a high school inner city English teacher, and he's got a lot of students that he's taken some of their true stories and built them into this massive book. And we then went to a local community in Washington, D.C., because the book's based in D.C., inner city kind of part of the community, and basically got the community involved in the book. So the book is told from first-person style, kind of similar to if you've read The Hunger Games. It's all inside the head of the character. But what we did is we put a bunch of films, very simple films, all shot through iPhones or security cameras within this community.
Wow!
With local actors of the stories the story that happens in the book, but from different characters' perspective. And it really is this amazing kind of mishmash of storytelling, because you don't need the films for the story, but suddenly because the whole story is within this character's head, we were able to go outside and give you different aspects that really open up whole new aspects of the story. We also are giving each of the characters a Facebook page and a Twitter account and a Tumblr and all these things. And it will, again, you don't need any of these things for the book to work. And this is something I'd caution is again, less is more. Sometimes a brilliant new format takes away. But at the same time, for this, it just adds so much. So we've got, it's not expensive. You can shoot it on iPhones and cheap looking security cameras. But it really just adds this kind of mystery to it. So to think really outside the box, is it a modern day story you're trying to tell? Well, you can use modern day media, Facebook and that kind of stuff to do it. I'm working on another book right now. It's a fantasy series that is similar to Harry Potter. It's going out with HarperCollins in terms of that audience. It's not similar to Harry Potter, but it's the same kind of audience, and it's a fantasy book. But what we've done is there's just to give you an idea of new formats, there's a character that shows up in the first 3 chapters that then is not in the book at all until the final chapter. But in the first 3 chapters and in the final chapter, this character plays a very pivotal role. Now, we're creating a website where the reader, younger readers, because everybody is an artist to some degree, and everybody wants to be a writer. They want to tell stories. So we've created a website, or we're creating a website, where the reader can go online and write in 400 words or less what they think happened to that character between chapter 3 and chapter 18. And then the only way they can post their story is by critiquing 3 other young readers' stories. So people are getting to co-write with the author. They are, and they're getting their writing critiqued, and they're getting to, getting it up there. And then once every 6 months or once every year, we haven't decided yet, I'll go online and I'll pick the story that I think is the best, and I'll co-write with that little writer, young writer. So
that is fantastic.
And it's really just thinking outside the box. That's what I was talking about. I mentioned a couple of times. We're in a place now where there are no limits to the book. And I love books that only contain words will always exist, and I will read them, and they're amazing. But for somebody like me who really just wants to go deeper and have more fun, and really, the idea of letting young people start to write with the author, where I actually will go online at some point and comment on what they're doing, and other people will comment and give them 3 to 5 stars and tell them what they liked and what they think they could do better. I mean, it just makes it fun, but again, it doesn't take away from the book. It doesn't. It's not necessary for the story. The story stands alone, but it just opens up this whole new world.
That's fantastic advice, and that's something that I'm applying currently to a book that I'm about to release in a couple of days, where I've written the entire story, and it's all set in Facebook, so everything's done through Facebook status updates, through Facebook notes, through private messages between the characters on Facebook, and as part of that, what I've done is I wanted to create this interactive world where people could sort of be responsible for what direction the story went in the future. And so I've created fan pages for each of the different characters so that they can actually interact between the characters on Facebook, and people can like the pages and then interact with the characters themselves.
Wow,
that's something that's completely, it's free for me. I'm freaking out a little bit about how I'm going to be managing 9 fan pages to interact together, but I'm sure that will come head on, and the main character is a photographer, and I'm an amateur photographer myself, and so I can start doing things like adding photographs within the Facebook pages that you can't add into print, and then hopefully in the future look at doing things like adding videos and whatnot, which Facebook is really well set up for.
Yeah, and exactly, even what you're saying now, because just recently I found a new technology called Buffer, which I think has probably been around for a while, but I just found it. But you can set it so that it updates your Facebook automatically at certain times on certain days, and I've been trying. Actually, I would love to talk to you about this offline, because I've been trying to figure this out for a format I'm creating. Is how you actually are having it update at the right times to the readers. But all that's it's an amazing opportunity. And like you said, Facebook is totally free. It takes the time and energy to set it up. But I'd love to read your book. I can't wait. That's awesome.